his fresh politics as well as his fortitude. He talked about his family and how Michelle had become so weary with him being on the political trail until she said, if you lose this time, you may not have a family to come back to. He talks about his faith and how he was looked upon as a Muslim, even though he was a devout Christian, and had to take many darts being thrown at him because they misunderstood him. He talked about his failures and how he had been ill prepared in the first attempt to run for the Senate, had gotten beaten so bad until he questioned whether or not he should go back to the law room and begin to teach law. He talked about his fresh politics and his idealism for unity and bipartisanship in Washington, but then finally he talked about his fortitude and his relentless faith and forbearance that kept him pursuing and pushing his dream. And in spite of the tempestuous trials as well as the tribulations, President Obama continued to have what he called the audacity of hope. I'm preaching to people now that knows firsthand what it feels like to be audacious enough to have hope in the midst of a seemingly hopeless situation, but in spite of the predicament that you find yourself presently in, you still come to the conclusion that my God has more promises than I've got problems. You ought to pull out your iPhone and text your neighbor and say, neighbor, the reason you can't die in what you're in right now is because God's got a plan for your future. And when you compare your future to where you are in the present, I promise you it's going to pale by comparison. If Paul was here, he testified like he did to the church at Rome in 8 and 18. He said, for I reckon that the sufferings of the present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed. Can I flash my light like Men in Black and take that back and tell you that God told me to tell you, if you can praise him through this, he's going to push you into that. And if you can get into that, you're going to look back on this and say, I'm glad that I went through the things that I had to go through. Can I talk to real people that's audacious and hope enough to utter, I believe that my tomorrow will be better than my today. I've got the kind of audacious hope that says I refuse to die in my debt. My ministry will not be mediocre. My dreams will not die. My failure will not be final. I told the church this morning where I preach the most, sometimes God puts you in a failing situation just to give you a fresh start. And it means that you didn't lose the car, you just got set up for a better car. You didn't get a divorce, you just got rid of the wrong one so God can give you the right one. You didn't lose the house, God just set you up to change your zip code. Somebody shout, he did it for my good. Y'all sit down, you're gonna make me nervous. Let me pump my brakes before I run into something. It has always been the pattern of God to expect his people to have the audacious hope in the midst of a seemingly hopeless situation. He told Noah to build a watercraft 450 feet long, 75 feet wide. Here is the kick. It ain't never rained before on the earth. He told Elijah, go by a drying brook, sit there until I send you a nasty bird to bring you bread and flesh in the morning and evening and drink from a brook that's drying up. He told Naaman to dip in the muddy Jordan 7 times. And you don't have to look at Elijah and Naaman and Noah. You can put your name right here and say, God told me to do some things that's crazy, only for me to find out that the crazier the situation, the crazier the blessing. And sometimes God has to take you through just to get you to, lest I hold you long.